For joining us on a very special day. I'm Pat Floyd, Chairman and CEO of the MTA. Opening day is a day of endless possibilities. For the Mets, never more so than this year. With Francisco Lindor now at short, Jacob deGrom leading the rotation, Pete Alonso at the bat, and with a new steward, Steve Cohn of the Mets franchise, who's as crazy about the team as we are. It's not too ambitious to say this opening day is not the peak, but the start of a journey that will carry the Mets well into October. It's an exciting time to be a Mets fan, and what a better way to celebrate the team's home opener today than to make history by holding the first ever news conference live on public transit. We're going to traverse almost the entirety of Queens County today. The press conference is a first for us at the MTA in a number of ways. This is our first press conference live streamed from a moving train. Two moving trains, in fact. One, this 7 train, and the other, the Long Island Railroad Port Washington branch that Phil Eng, the president of Long Island Railroad's on. He and I are engaged in a race. It's a safe race, compliant with all rules and regulations. I'm rooting for the 7. I took the 7 train out of 74th Street and Roosevelt Avenue in Jackson Heights. It's a stop that we'll stop at today. And I feel good about the 7th train prevailing. Phil, I'm sure, everything he can to get the Port Washington branch into Willets Point as safely and quickly as possible. If you're watching from home, you'll see some live views from the train. And we'll flip over to my colleague, Phil Eng, in a moment, who was also on his way to the game. And will join us live from a train out of Penn Station. To see fans back in the stands a year after the pandemic hit shows how far New York has come in fighting COVID-19. Here at the MTA, as you all know, we've undertaken unprecedented measures to ensure our workforce and customers have remained safe, disinfecting trains and buses at least once daily, stations twice a day. We've distributed over 25 million free masks and vaccinated more than a third of our workforce and counting. New Yorkers have done their part too, with mask compliance on subways, buses, paratransit, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. More than 98%, and millions of New Yorkers have been vaccinated. Every day, more New Yorkers are returning to the subway. This week, we hit another high for the subways, moving 1.98 million yesterday, and approximately nearly 1.2 million on buses. I want to say thanks to the hard work of New York's own and Mets fan Senate Majority Leader Schumer and the entire New York congressional delegation for helping the MTA secure the funds needed to ensure that we can keep running at the level New York needs to recover. That's both subways, buses, Metro North, Long Island Railroad, and paratransit. I also want to thank Secretary Buttigieg for advancing the first in the nation congestion pricing and rightly recognizing that by prioritizing transportation, we can accelerate our climate goals and improve equity for all New Yorkers. There's still a great deal of work to do. Keep wearing masks and get the vaccine whenever you can. For fans headed to the game today, we want you to know that the best way to get there is by taking the subway, 7, bus, Q48, or the Long Island Railroad Port Washington branch. It's not just good for the environment, but for your wallet too. And I'm looking forward to welcoming all Mets fans inside Citi Field today in a video I made for the Jumbotron, reminding everybody how easy it is to take the train to the game. The MTA provides multiple options to get to Citi Field on subways, buses, Long Island Railroad, and paratransit. The 7 train is synonymous with the Mets, and it's the way I used to get to then Shea Stadium from Jackson Heights, 74th Street, and Roosevelt Avenue when I was a kid. On buses, the Q48 stops at 126th Street and Roosevelt Avenue, right in front of Citi Field. For our paratransit customers, Access-A-Ride has designated stops at Citi Field. Fans who want to use the Long Island Railroad have the Port Washington branch, which is a stop at Citi Field. Speaking of the Long Island Railroad, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Long Island Railroad President and fellow Mets fanatic Phil Eng, who was also on his way to Citi Field right now. I'll be happy to welcome you there, Phil, after the 7 arrives, after the 7. and we'll wait for your train to get in before we walk over. Phil, turning it over to you.
Well, thank you, Pat. And that's some play-by-play you just went through. That's fantastic. But if I beat you to the park, can I have the afternoon off? But also, if I don't, maybe a rematch around the diamond. But you're right, Pat. I'm on the Long Island Railroad today, taking the train from Penn Station to our Mets Willets Point stop, which is right off of Citi Field, just 19 minutes from Penn Station. And it really doesn't get any easier or better than this. Baseball is America's pastime, and with every new spring comes new hope for fans and our home team. And after this past year, new hope is just the right remedy. As a lifelong Mets fan, seeing fans back on the Long Island Railroad headed to Citi Field is just what we need to boost our spirits. All Port Washington branch trains in both directions have been making stops at Met Willets Point around the clock to provide service for the mass vaccination site ongoing at Citi Field. And now fans to the game. Taking the train is not only safe, but you can just sit back and avoid traffic. Not to mention, when the game is over, leave the driving to us. We're excited that more and more folks across the region are getting vaccinated, and that means more people back on public transit and more reopenings like Citi Field today. So today we're excited as the Mets return home to celebrate playing their 2021 home opener. And while we have to stay vigilant in our fight against COVID, a few traditions are back. The Mets are playing in front of a home crowd, black jerseys, and dare I ask, perhaps the curly shuffle, which I admit you might have seen me back in the day at Shea as prior to being president. So take the to the game, home run. Pandemic. Welcome back, everyone, and let's go Mets.
Thank you, Phil. Phil, just for informational purposes, what stop are you at now?
We actually just left Penn, so I think you got a head start on us, but we're going to catch up to you.
All right, good, just as we planned. With that, we'll take questions from reporters.
And we're going to start with Dave Colon, who is here with us in the car serving as Streets Blog. Dave can affirm that we are actually live. There are no tricks. We're passing through the Woodside station. Dave.
Hi, Pat. I start off, can you give us a timeline on what the congestion pricing and environmental assessment is going to be?
Congestion pricing?
On the environmental assessment specifically.
On the
Environmental assessment.
So, Dave, as we move through Queens, what's the timeline for the environmental assessment on congestion pricing? So, good question. We received tremendous news last week, and we thank the Secretary and US DOT in Washington and Albany for giving us direction to do an environmental assessment. That was our hope. And after 2 years of inaction, we're gratified that in the first 2 months of the Biden administration that decision has been taken. We have done a great deal of work on the physical work that could be done prior to getting direction from US DOT, as well as on documentation. We are really ready, already in high gear. I'm not going to put a timeline on it because I think that's not a reasonable thing to do right now, but I can tell you that we are going to do everything we can to expedite it. And the Biden administration and DOT, which said they were going to prioritize the review of our application for congestion pricing, obviously did prioritize it, and we're gratified by the decision that was made.
All right, and just reminding the reporters, use the hand raise function electronically if you want to ask a question. One of those who has done that is Alfonso Castillo of Newsday. Alfonso, you're up.
Hey, guys. Thank you for doing this. Let's go Yanks, by the way. A question about the plans to expand Penn Station, now part of it funded in the new state budget, $1.3 billion. Can either or both of you talk about what that expansion could mean for Long Island Railroad riders?
Yeah, look, Alfonso, the Penn Station Empire Complex plan that the governor outlined earlier in the year would expand capacity at Penn Station in a meaningful way. That, together with, for instance, the completion of a third track, the opening of East Side Access, are frankly each of them transformative events for Long Island Railroad and Long Island Railroad customers. We are approaching, completion of third track. East Side Access is on schedule, and we're looking forward to getting those projects done. And we're also excited, obviously, by the president's $2 trillion infrastructure plan, which will include substantial funding, $85 billion on a national basis for transit, and significant amounts of additional capital for projects like Second Avenue Subway Phase 2, for Penn Station access, for Gateway, and other critical projects. I think it's fair to say these are, each of them, transformative for the Long Island Railroad.
Okay, maybe kind of the same question for Phil. As I understand it, the new tracks that might be added to Penn Station would not be used by the Long Island Railroad. I think it'd be primarily New Jersey Transit tracks. But can you talk about how the Long Island Railroad would still stand to benefit from those added tracks?
Absolutely, Alfonso. As everyone knows, the Penn Station is the busiest rail hub in North America. And as everyone also understands, Long Island Railroad shares many tracks with New Jersey Transit and Amtrak. And the ability for other transit agencies in Penn Station to have more capacity actually frees up space for us. So whenever there are need to be performing work, whether it's maintenance, whether it's corrective repairs, or even areas where perhaps the track is out of service due to train issues, that extra capacity will go a great way to giving the Long Island Railroad and our riders more room, more flexibility to ensure that service can continue to proceed. So there's great benefit to the additional tracks as part of that project, but also this just builds upon all the ongoing successes that have been taking place with regards to the new entrance at 33rd Street, with regards to Moynihan Train Hall, and the ongoing work to improve the corridor there, make it wider, brighter, and more pleasant experience for our riders. So this will go a long way to giving us the capacity that's been a long time needed in Penn Station, as we share these tracks with our partners there.
And the next question goes to the New York Daily News. Clayton Gusa standing by. Clayton.
Hey, Pat, can you hear me? I wanted to follow up just on Dave's question about the timeline for congestion pricing. Is there any deadline or date that you can give riders and motorists as to when you expect these tolls to go live? Is there any deadline that you can share with us rather than just saying you're moving expeditiously? That's the first question, and then I have a second one.
Yeah, so Clayton, the answer to that is we are going to do everything we can, and we have done everything we can prior to the new administration coming into office to move the project along. I'm not going to throw a date out. The deadline and the goal is to get it implemented as soon as possible. That has always been the case with the new administration, which is acting responsibly. That is a goal I believe we can achieve, but I'm not going to throw out a specific date other than saying that we're going to do everything we can to move heaven and earth to get it done as quick as possible.
Got it. And then the other end of this is do you have any update right now, kind of as like your East Side Access is moving forward? Do you have any update on where the MTA and Amtrak is at in rehabilitating the East River tunnels? And is it your plan that you should take a similar approach to the L train or the London Bridge Associates plan that was presented to the Port Authority?
Yeah, look, I saw a presentation by Professor Tom O'Rourke from Cornell. He's one of the professors who worked together with Dean Boyce and then Dean Collins of Cornell. And Tom's presentation was about resilience. This is probably on Monday or Tuesday, I think Tuesday. It was a terrific presentation and focused on resiliency projects in general across the country and in New York, but also the work of the Columbia and Cornell teams on the L train. I think the approach that it was taken by the L train based on the governor asking the Cornell and Columbia deans and teams to assess the prior plan for the L train, obviously saved money and saved time and minimized in a significant way customer disruption. The use of that innovative approach on the Hudson tunnels, the over 100-year Hudson tunnels, deserves serious scrutiny by Amtrak, and also has the possibility of saving time, A, B, money, and C, minimizing customer disruption. It ought to be seriously studied, and I think given what happened on the L train with that significant progress, I think there's a high degree of probability the same thing can be done with respect to the Hudson River tunnels.
All right, and now that we've reached Corona, we're going to move on to what may be the last question we have time for. Michelle Kasky of Bloomberg. Michelle, 103rd Street live, and you're up.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for this presser. Last week Moody's came out with a report, and their projections are that the MTA's ridership will decline permanently by 20%. This is even post-pandemic. So they're projecting a 20% permanent drop in ridership. What's your reaction to that? Are you guys showing, in your calculations, is that what you're showing as well? Do you dispute this? And also my second part to that would be, if that is the case, then what does that mean for not just operations, but more importantly, your capital plan? Can you expand the system if there is going to be such a permanent drop?
So, Michelle, just a bit of Queens lore. We just left 103rd Street, and that is very close to the home of jazz great Louis Armstrong, one of Queens' great residents. Look, the ridership challenge across the world, all systems are feeling ridership declines right now and are concerned about ridership growth. Obviously, I just gave all of you the numbers for subway and bus ridership, which continues to increase. We are all everybody in the industry is concerned about the long-term recovery. Obviously, we have cited the McKinsey numbers at our board meeting, which indicate, and it's quite a wide range, right? 80 to 92% increase measured in pre-pandemic against pre-pandemic volumes in 2024. The issue that we and every mass transit agency faces is the following, and it's more acute for the MTA because we have the greatest dollar amount of fare revenue. Our fare revenue pre-pandemic was about $6 billion. If it's at the midpoint of the McKinsey number, 86%, that and the $6 billion would presumably grow in the meantime, looking at it from a pre-pandemic point of view with fare increases in the meantime, right? And that would be an additional $900 million plus or minus increase in the structural deficit. So everybody at the agency is focused on it. We're going to do everything we can to increase ridership. The disinfecting measures, the mask compliance are all pieces of it. Obviously, the work is almost done with respect to being vaccinated every day. As offices open in the summer, post-Labor Day, increases for sure, and other transit agencies around the country and the world as well. But the ridership numbers compared to pre-pandemic on subways, buses, 24 is not known right now. It'll be higher for sure, but how high it will be relative to the pre-pandemic ridership volumes remains to be seen, Michelle.
All right, and with that, as you can see, we have just now started to pull into City Field. Willets Point, Mets, go Mets.
Where's the Long Island Railroad train?
Let's find out. Phil, where is the Long Island Railroad train? Phil is being shy. Phil, where is that Long Island Railroad train? We see Phil. Phil apparently is glad handing the customers. He's a celebrity on the railroad. But we'll be waiting for him when he arrives.
That looks
All right, let's get going.
It's a loop. All right. Thanks to everybody, the reporters. Appreciate that. Dave Cologne continues to be with us. He may have some follow-up questions, and he'll get you the pool report. To everybody else, thanks for being part of this. The show will continue, just not the questions. We're going to make our way over to City Field. Thank you,
Thanks,
Pat.
everybody. Ah, that's right.
Here you go, sir. Good, how are you? Good, thanks. City Field. Pat, I don't know if you can hear us, but what a day for the park. That's a mess. If I'm gonna beat Pat, I probably have to run. Go Mets! Woo! Let's go Mets! Happy New Year!
What are you talking about? I got a special moment. Yes.
How's everybody? Good, thank you.
Going to Broadway.
There you go. They'll come late.
Did they come late?
I was busy doing Mets greetings with masks for our fans here.
So this was the competition, right? Another great way to go to the ballpark is on the Long Island Railroad, Port Washington branch, stops here with the Willis, and also brings people out here for vaccinations.
And a lesson learned: you never beat your boss. So no matter what, I had to come in second.
Pat said the video of you this morning was raining. We think it was pre-recorded.
Well, actually, I'm inside the stadium right now. I have a nice cold drink and a hot dog.
What about this competition? What was good about it? What message?
Well, you know what? It lifts up your spirits. It was interesting as Pat was asking me where we were as we were leaving. I was thinking about we were in the Penn tunnels, and the light at the end of the tunnels is just about what we're looking at today. It's spring, Mets opening day at home. Fans are excited. New York's excited, and everyone's getting the vaccines more and more. New York is coming back, and we're going to be part of that.
Thank you very much. Give me your name, sir, and tape and title.
It's Philip Ng, Long Island Railroad president.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, one last comment. Yes, sir. The Mets will be in the playoffs. Is that a guarantee? Wait a minute. Can I hold you to that? That's a guarantee from the MTA channel. Really? Okay.
I'll go along with that guarantee. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Good luck.
You want to give out a few masks? Oh, you got masks too. Okay. So we give out. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
These are us. Thank you, Thank you, Tim. Thank everybody.
Like a mask? New York tough mask? There you go. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. All right. Here, wear a mask. New York tough. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, sir. New York tough. Met fans, here you go. Help you wear a mask. Stay safe. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. Courtesy of the Mets and Long Island Railroad. Thank you. How about a New York tough mask? There you go. All right. Enjoy. Stay well. Just about. Oh, Willie, how are you? Get a mask? There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. I think we're almost out. Where are we? This is a nice young gentleman. Hold on, hold on. Here you go. Good. Take it.
Dave has.
Thank you.
There you go. Enjoy. Nice stuff. All right, let's go in. Who's got the tickets? That's a good investment. That's a good investment. Did we lose the chairman? How are you, sir?